Stop right there. Don't skip. Seriously, pause for just a second. Because if you're still buying expensive butter every single week, automatically, out of habit, without even thinking about it, this video might quietly save you hundreds of dollars a year. Not tomorrow, not someday, starting now. And once you actually see the numbers, once you put price, volume, and real usage side by side, you're going to feel that uncomfortable mix of surprise and realization. Wow, I've been doing this wrong. Not because you're careless, not because you're bad with money, but because grocery stores are very good at keeping people in habits they never question. Today, I'm breaking down 5 cheap margarine and butter-style spreads that Americans can actually find in normal, everyday grocery stores. Not obscure brands, not health food specialty shops, not online-only products. These are real brands, real prices, real use, real kitchens. And before anyone jumps to conclusions, let me be extremely clear from the start. This is not about ideology. This is not about food wars. This is not about pretending margarine is gourmet European butter. This is about daily life. Toast in the morning, eggs before work, sandwiches for lunch, grilled cheese for kids, quick cooking, family meals, tight budgets, weekly grocery trips. If you cook every day, if you shop every week, if you've ever stood in the dairy aisle, looked at butter prices, and quietly thought, why is this so expensive now? Then you need to hear this. Because here's the truth no one tells you while you're standing in front of that refrigerated shelf. Most people do not need expensive butter for most of what they use it for. And grocery stores are counting on you never questioning that. Butter feels familiar. Butter feels right. Butter feels like the default. But default doesn't mean optimal, and default definitely doesn't mean cost-effective. And that's where these spreads win. So stay with me, because the top 2 especially are the ones that convert lifelong butter buyers without them even realizing it. Let's start slow. Number 5 goes to Imperial. Yes, this brand has been around forever. Yes, some people instantly dismiss it. And yes, that's exactly why it belongs on this list. Imperial margarine is one of the cheapest and most widely available spreads in the United States. You can find the 16-ounce tub or sticks at Walmart, Kroger, Safeway, and Target, often priced between $1.25 and $1.60. Now pause for a second and really let that sink in. 1 pound of real butter, easily $3.50 to $6, depending on brand and region. Sometimes more, much more. Imperial spreads straight from the fridge. It doesn't tear your bread. It melts evenly. It behaves predictably in eggs, grilled cheese, toast, and simple cooking. And predictability matters more than people admit. Is it gourmet? No. Is it trying to be European butter? No. But for everyday use, it quietly does its job, and that's the core theme of this entire video. Most people don't buy butter for flavor most of the time. They buy it out of habit. Imperial wins on price per ounce, ease of use, and availability. That's why millions of households still rely on it without thinking twice, and without realizing how much money it quietly saves them over the year. 4th place goes to Bluebonnet. Bluebonnet is nostalgia in a tub, but nostalgia alone doesn't keep a product alive for decades unless it actually works. This spread is especially popular in larger households for one simple reason: size. The 45-ounce tub regularly sells for around $3.50 to $4, sometimes even less during promotions. Do the math. That's nearly 3 pounds of spread for less than the price of one premium butter brick. Bluebonnet spreads easily. It holds up under heat. It works extremely well for cooking large batches of food. Scrambled eggs, sautéed vegetables, toast, pancakes, even basic baking where butter flavor isn't the star. Here's what makes Bluebonnet dangerous to butter sales. Once someone switches to it for everyday use, they stop noticing the difference. But they absolutely notice the savings. And once you stop noticing the difference, there's no emotional reason to go back. Third place goes to a brand that surprises every single time, Country Crock. This is where things start getting interesting. Country Crock is technically a spread blend, not classic margarine, and that's exactly why it converts butter lovers. The texture is soft, the mouthfeel is rich, the salt balance feels closer to butter than most cheap spreads. A 45-ounce tub usually costs between $5.50 and $6.50, which still massively undercuts butter when you compare volume. Country Crock performs extremely well on toast, mashed potatoes, vegetables, and light baking. But here's the psychological trick, and this matters. It feels premium, even though it isn't priced like it. And perception drives behavior more than people want to admit. This is often the brand people switch to when they say, "Okay, I still want something that feels like butter, but I'm done paying butter prices." Second place, and this one has fooled millions, goes to I Can't Believe It's Not Butter. The name sounds like marketing nonsense until you actually use it. This spread exists for one reason only, to mimic butter as closely as possible without being butter, and it works. A 45-ounce tub usually sells around $8.50 to $9.50, which might sound high compared to other spreads, but compared to premium butter, it's still dramatically cheaper. Here's why it earns second place. It melts like butter, it spreads like butter, it browns decently under heat, and many people genuinely cannot tell the difference in everyday meals. This is the spread that ends butter loyalty. Once someone replaces butter with this for daily use, butter becomes a special occasion item instead of a weekly expense. And now, the number one spot. This is the spread that wins on price, volume, consistency, and real-world performance. First place goes to Imperial, family-size tubs. Yes, it comes back, and here's why. The large Imperial tubs, often 45 ounces, can be found between $3 and $4, depending on retailer and timing. That is a massive amount of spread for less than the cost of 2 sticks of fancy butter. It spreads straight from the fridge, it works in cooking, it doesn't punish your budget, and most importantly, it removes stress from grocery shopping. You stop asking yourself, is this worth using butter on? That mental freedom is underrated. Now, here's the moment where everything clicks. This video is not saying butter is bad. This video is saying butter is often unnecessary. If you're baking something special, finishing a sauce, or eating butter straight on warm bread because you love that flavor, butter has its place. But if you're using butter for toast, eggs, sandwiches, cooking oil replacement, and routine meals, you're paying for branding more than results, and grocery stores are counting on you not questioning that. So before you leave, ask yourself this: how much butter do you buy in a month? Now imagine replacing even half of that with a spread that costs 1/3 of the price. That's real money back in your pocket, quietly, every week. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these spreads have you tried? Are you loyal to butter, or are you ready to rethink it? If you want a part 2 where I compare butter brands that are actually worth the money when flavor matters, comment part 2. If you want a full taste test showdown, comment taste test. Like the video, subscribe for more real-world grocery breakdowns, and share this with someone who complains about food prices but keeps buying butter out of habit. Because once you see the numbers, you can't unsee them.